Imagine for a moment that you are pushed to your absolute limit. What would you do? How far would you go? Picture a city steeped in darkness where the sun never seems to shine. This is Ziuak, a city where the law of the jungle rules, where the strong prey on the weak and survival is a daily struggle. The streets of Ziuak are a battleground, a place where ruthless predators roam freely, their brutality only matched by their fearlessness. Among these predators there are 3 young teens, their brutal ways stark against the backdrop of the city's relentless darkness. Then there's Sombrio, once a commoner, the weakest of the weak, constantly tormented and pushed around by these teens. His life, a never-ending saga of misery and despair, is just a reflection of the city he calls home. But even the weakest of creatures, when pushed to their limit, can become the fiercest of predators. One fateful night, Sombrio was pushed to the brink. What happened next was a transformation like no other. On this night, the city of Ziuak bore witness to a metamorphosis. Sombrio, once the weakest among them, was cornered, his back against the wall. But instead of surrendering, he fought back. He fought back with a primal, unbridled intensity that caught his tormentors off guard. He was relentless, striking back at the predators who had made his life a living nightmare. In the heat of the battle, Sombrio did the unthinkable. He took the lives of his tormentors, the very ones who had once ruled these streets with their brutal ways. But in doing so, he crossed a line from which there was no return. He was no longer the prey, the victim. He was the predator, the victor. As the life drained from his tormentors, Sombrio felt a change within himself. The shadows that had once consumed him, that had once been a source of fear and despair, now swirled around him, a cloak of darkness that gave him strength, power. He embraced them, let them seep into his very being, and when he emerged, he was no longer Sombrio, the commoner. He stood tall, a figure of dread and awe, a silhouette against the moonlit sky. His heart no longer beat with fear, but with a cold, ruthless determination. His eyes, once filled with terror, now glowed with a chilling resolve. He was no longer the hunted, but the hunter. Sombrio was gone, swallowed whole by the darkness that had once tormented him. In his place stood AshishShadow, a merciless killer born from the ashes of a tormented soul. He was a creature of the night, a being who thrived in the underbelly of Ziuak. He was the embodiment of revenge, a symbol of retribution for those who had been wronged. And so, AshishShadow was born, a creature forged in the fires of revenge. With his newfound power, AshishShadow quickly rose through the ranks of the criminal underworld. His transformation from Sombrio the Tormented to AshishShadow the Tormentor was as swift as it was brutal. No longer a victim, he became a predator, a creature of the night that stalked the murky alleys of Ziuak, his very name a whisper of dread. His rise to power was a chilling spectacle. AshishShadow was no longer the weak, trembling prey. He was the merciless hunter. His reputation preceded him, a chilling wind that swept through the city, leaving a trail of fear and apprehension. He was a nightmare come to life, a dark figure that haunted the dreams of those who dared to cross him. AshishShadow, the once tormented commoner, became the kingpin of a powerful criminal empire. His rule was ruthless, his methods brutal, his word was law, and his wrath a death sentence. He ruled with an iron fist, his reign spreading across the city like a malignant shadow. His followers were numerous, drawn to him by fear, respect, or the promise of power. They were his eyes and ears, his hands and feet. They carried out his orders without question, their loyalty bought with fear and the allure of power. AshishShadow's empire was built on a foundation of fear, a reign of terror that held the city in its icy grip. But AshishShadow was not content with mere control. He craved more power, more control, more fear. His hunger was insatiable, his ambition boundless. His gaze turned to the horizon, seeking new territories to conquer, new victims to subjugate. His thirst for power was a wildfire that threatened to consume everything in its path. But for AshishShadow, power was an addiction, and he craved for more. His journey was far from over. His transformation, his rise to power, was just the beginning. The city of Ziuak was just the first step, the first taste of the intoxicating elixir of power. And AshishShadow was thirsty for more. The Kalan Show, a notorious platform for criminals, was the perfect stage for AshishShadow to showcase his darkest acts. In the grim world of Ziuak, where the weak were hunted by the strong, the Kalan Show was a twisted form of entertainment, an arena where the vilest of criminals could strut their stuff. and no one strutted quite like AshishShadow. Once a commoner, a victim, AshishShadow had transformed into a force of nature, a tempest of cold fury and ruthless ambition. His appearance on the Villian show was a chilling spectacle that both horrified and fascinated the city's inhabitants. He was an enigma, a paradox of power and vulnerability, a symbol of the city's descent into darkness. On the show, AshishShadow's acts were nothing short of terrifying. He executed his heinous deeds without hesitation, his cold, calculating demeanor sending shivers down the spine of the most hardened criminals. He reveled in the darkness that engulfed him, his every move a dance of shadows and death. The people of Ziuak watched, their hearts pounding in their chests, their eyes wide with fear and fascination. Here was a man who had once been one of them, a victim of the city's brutality. But now, he was a predator, a merciless killer who ruled their city with an iron fist. His chilling appearance on the Villian show was a stark reminder of the city's descent into darkness. But it was also a testament to AshishShadow's transformation from victim to villain, from prey to predator. His every act was a declaration of his power, his dominance over the city that had once tormented him. His every move was a testament to his ruthlessness, his refusal to be a victim any longer. He was a symbol of the city's darkest fears and deepest desires, a reminder of the thin line that separates the hunter from the hunted. AshishShadow was not just a criminal, he was a spectacle, a malevolent force that seemed unstoppable. He was a symbol of the city's transformation, a stark reminder of the power of the shadows. And the city of Ziuak, once a place of crime and violence, was now under his shadowy influence, a chilling spectacle indeed. At the peak of his power, AshishShadow stood atop a car in the middle of the city, a symbol of terror for all to see. His silhouette was bathed in the flickering glow of burning fires, a haunting spectacle against the backdrop of the city's chaos. He surveyed the pandemonium, the fear, the ruin he had orchestrated as the leader of Ziuak's underworld. His followers, a horde of shadows themselves, reveled in the anarchy their leader had unleashed. AshishShadow's reign was a dance of shadows and death, a chilling spectacle that sent shivers down the spine of the city's inhabitants. His followers, like puppets on strings, caused chaos wherever they went, their actions a testament to the power of their leader. The once vibrant city of Ziuak was now a playground of fear, a testament to AshishShadow's control. As the night grew darker, the city's denizens watched the mayhem unfold from the safety of their homes, their hearts pounding with a mix of dread and fascination. The commoners, the elites, the law enforcers, all of Ziuak was held in the vice-like grip of AshishShadow's reign. Then, an unsettling realization dawned upon the city's inhabitants. AshishShadow was not born a monster. He was once Sombrio, a victim of the city's ruthless streets. His transformation into AshishShadow was a chilling reminder of their own potential for darkness. The once tormented had become the tormentor, the prey had become the predator. AshishShadow, the once weak and tormented, had risen to become an unstoppable force. He was no longer a victim of Ziuak's brutality, but its most formidable leader, a shadowy figure who ruled with an iron fist. His reign was a testament to the city's descent into darkness, a chilling narrative of power, fear, and control. AshishShadow had transformed from the victim to the villain, casting a dark shadow over the city of Ziuak that would last for eternity. He was a reminder of the city's pervasive darkness, a symbol of its crime-ridden streets, and a warning of the consequences of unchecked power. His reign was merely the beginning of an era of shadows, a reign that would forever mark the city of Ziuak. In this city of crime, the shadows were not just darkness, they were a harbinger of downfall. AshishShadow, once a victim, now the villain, held sway over Ziuak with an iron fist. His transformation from Sombrio, the tormented, to AshishShadow, the tormentor, was complete. He ruled with a cold, ruthless efficiency that left the city's denizens in a state of constant fear and apprehension. His dark influence permeated every corner of Ziuak, casting a long shadow that seemed to choke the very life out of the city. The people, once free, were now prisoners in their own homes, their lives dictated by the whims of a single man. The city that once throbbed with life was now a bleak, desolate place, its spirit crushed under the weight of AshishShadow's reign. The city of Ziuak had fallen into darkness, its fate sealed by the rise of AshishShadow. So, remember, when pushed to your limit, what will you become? And more importantly, how far will you go?